What's up, everybody? I hope you've all had a great week. Welcome to another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, thank you so much for this week's questions. If you have any questions you would like me to answer next week, put them in the comments below. Smash that like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, there are links to my music and my Patreon, as well as the Ragdoll Bandcamp store. So if you want to have my face on a t-shirt that says Ragdoll, you can also find those there. Let's get straight into this week's questions. This purple guitar is a Shredder Marksman. It's a Shredder guitar by Mike Shredder in Hamburg, Germany. I have a video coming up comparing this guitar with my Hamer Californian, which is kind of fun because they both have 27 frets. Other than that, they're kind of different beasts that kind of sit at opposite ends of the Super Strat spectrum, in my opinion. But it's a super duper fun guitar, and Mike is making some really, really cool stuff, just like unashamedly retro 80s. He's kind of building the guitars that other companies should be building, and actually got a really nice fat, like 59 Les Paul style neck, so it's pretty comfy for me. I always kind of struggle with the wizard style neck, so I really, really like that about it. But yeah, you'll hear more about this guitar very, very soon. The next question comes from Sakatuni. Any tips on how to keep your guitar in tune? And it was mentioned, Ben Hackett, shout out to Ben, a frequent commenter on the channel, always has good stuff to weigh in on. I always like hearing from Ben. He makes a point that you should always stretch your strings before playing. So if you put a new set of strings on, make sure you stretch them in. And if you don't know about string stretching, there are loads of great videos already up on this platform about that. Another thing I would say is, if you don't know how to set up your own guitars, go and have somebody set your guitar up, but ask if you can sit in and actually watch them do it so that you can learn how to do it yourself. There's a little bit of stuff you need to know, and once you know that stuff, you're pretty much good to go to do the basics of a guitar setup, like setting intonation, setting your action, setting your truss rod relief. Those kind of things are all going to contribute to keeping your guitar in tune, as well as stretching your strings. You could probably do I could probably do like an hour-long video on little hacks to tune your guitar better, but maybe I should do that. If you want to see me talk about how I set up and tune my guitars, I can probably get around to doing that video at some point. But yeah, stretch your strings, make sure your intonation is set, make sure your truss rod adjustment and relief is set correctly, and you should be pretty good to go with those kind of things. The next one comes from Dale Donaldson. Would I be willing to do a video on the FM3 through FRFR? I've already done a video like that. If you look up my video with the Atomic CLR and FRFR tips and tricks, there's a few little things in there you might want to try out. Another Axe-Fx related question, have I ever tried it with the Fryer LX2? I haven't. I have the Synergy Syn 5050 here on loan from Synergy at the moment, and it sounds pretty slamming through that, and I know that's a Stevie Fryette design, so yeah, I imagine it would sound pretty amazing. I feel like one of my students has one and they really, really like it, or maybe they have the Power Station, but yeah, seems like an absolute beast. I would love to try one. Alrighty, this is I guess less of a question and more a comment. This is kind of cool from Steve, saying he's from John Sykes' hometown of Reading, England. Shout out to all my buddies watching in the UK. I feel like people forget about the really strong cultural links between Australia, especially Perth, and the UK, which is probably why so many people think I'm English or I'm British or things like that. So yeah, I'm just a filthy little convict sitting down here in Perth, Western Australia. Shout out to all my buddies in the UK. Anyway, he said he's never met John Sykes, but he met Gary Moore, which is amazing. And that would have been a really, really cool thing. Definitely Gary and John, if I had to reel off my list of favorite players, they would definitely be right at the top there. That's pretty cool. I love hearing stories like this from people. So if you don't have a specific question you want to ask me, just tell me a cool rock and roll story, or, tell me about your first guitar or your first amp, or when you met your hero. I would love to hear that in the comments below. Alrighty, and somebody cleared up, I think it was actually Jason from Headfirst, that the USA-made Wolfgang specials have the scraped binding. So thank you, Jason, and go and check out Headfirst Amplification. They do some amazing stuff down here in Australia. All right, question from Travis Russell. Do I have a favorite Synergy module out of the ones I've tried? And I would agree that I really like the Vi and the Plexi module and the 800 module and the Dirty Shirley module, which I have a video coming up. But for me, hands down, my favorite module is the Bogner Überschall module. I just love the way that sounds. I don't know if it sounds exactly like a real Überschall, but for what it does, it is amazing, especially with the Synergy power amp. That one is definitely my favorite, hands down. And I would probably say the Dirty Shirley's up there for like a mid-gain model, and for kind of a clean one, probably the T Deluxe, the Twin and Fender Deluxe one. I really like that one because I don't own a Fender style amp. The closest I have is my Boogie Mark IV. So yeah, those two rule the roost for me. The pickups in the Wolfgang that you heard last week are whatever the stock pickups are. I actually don't know anything about them, but they're pretty hot, and they have that kind of, you know, Cocteau mid-range about them, which is why they're so good for the kind of 80s tones. So yeah. Alrighty, a lot of John Sykes fans in the comments. I like this. Let's make John Sykes trend. Do you do that on YouTube? Do people trend? Anyway, John's amazing. We all know that if you're watching this. So this one comes from, where's the next one? A lot of people duking it out over who they liked more. Vandenberg, Sykes, Vi, Aldrich. Listening recommendation. I was listening to some of this in the gym because I'd forgotten about it. Doug Aldrich's band Burning Rain with Keith St. John on vocals. They got a couple of fantastic albums, really hard to find, but I've got them on CD and monstrous. It's Doug playing a Strat, and it is a thing to behold. Amazing tones, really, really good, solid hard rock songs as well. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So, can I share the preset that I'm using on Axe Change? Yes, it should be up there. I think it's just called like LT Mark IV or Mark IV Live or something like that. And just add a pitch detune block set to plus or minus 8 cents to that one. I'm going to do like an FM3 and Axe FX 3 preset pack that will be free for everybody once Cygnus comes out for the FM3 as well. And that one will definitely be in there. Alrighty. This is from Frank Felipe. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't say that right. When do I ever say anything right? When I run my rig stereo live, do I run stereo for in-ears? Sometimes. A lot of the time, so the way we run in-ears is Cam has a really, really lovely set of molded Ultimate ears that he runs wired. So he's running off a headphone amp. And I know for a fact that that's a mono headphone amp. So he's definitely in mono. And we use the Sennheiser G4 in-ear system, which you can run in stereo, but most of the time you just get a single like mono input from the mixing desk. So a lot of the time it's mono in-ears, which stereo in-ears are amazing and you get a lot more separation. But the way we run it is Ryan and I have exactly the same in-ears feed. So we have one transmitter and 2 packs. So we basically kind of work out our mix so that we're getting enough of everything. It's mostly like vocals, bass, guitar, and a bit of kick drum in the in-ears. So kind of all those things down the middle is generally pretty fine. I find the stereo in-ears thing is way more useful if you're playing in a band where you have keyboards or you have another guitar player, you know, where you've got, where you need the separation. But when you just have this kind of like giant mono wall of sound, mono in-ears are normally fine. And then we have it coming out of the monitors as well. So you get a bit of a spatial effect with that as well. And just a shout out to the crows in the backyard. You can probably hear all of them. And now that I've mentioned it, they've shut up. And this guy who was driving their very, very loud car down the corner, that's what happens when you live on a corner. I know a lot of people have mentioned in my videos, like, what's that weird noise in your video? It's either the crows just going, ah, or it is someone in a giant SUV going, vroom. So perks of living on a corner. But hey, who am I to complain? I get to sit here and play guitar all day. So yeah, anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Let's hear some more of this. So that was a song by Gary Moore with a kind of little, you know, he's using the Floyd on that one. What else is in that song? I feel like there's another really cool part. I don't know. Floyd Roses are fun, and my favorite thing to do with them, which I remember doing a video with a floating trem and doing this in like every lick, and everybody hated it. But you know, when you do the seagull, the flick, that's a fun trick if you don't already know how to do that. makes me do this face. I can't use a Floyd and not go, eh. Anyway, you know, my mum used to say one day the wind will change and, you know, your face will get frozen with that stupid face. And I think that's happened to me officially. And I only show it when I play guitar. Cool. This one is from Roger Lamson of Rubato Guitars. Shout out to the Rubato folks. They make awesome stuff as well. I should probably play the Lassie in next week's video because that's a fun one. This one, what does he say? Would love to hear your thoughts on split coil humbucker tones versus pure single coil tones. Okay, so my favorite single coil tones are Strat neck pickup, Strat neck and middle pickup in parallel, and a P90 neck pickup. Bridge single coil never really does it for me. I do like twin humbucker guitars where when you go to the middle position, the coils split. And my PRS Custom 24 does a cool thing on the 5-way where you can get parallel like outer coils or inner coils, which sound really, really good. Another really loud car driving past, right on cue. But I will say, I've never tried these, but again, friend of the channel, Mr. Brian Hook, Ultimate Rack Daddy, he has a Pete Thorn signature guitar, which has a thornbucker in the neck position, and the tapped pickup tone on that is amazing. So I need to try some thornbuckers at some point just for that kind of tapped tone. But I do like neck humbuckers with the kind of split or tapped coil thing happening. I don't think it really matters too much on the bridge pickup, but on the neck, I really, really do like it. But that's because I love neck single coils. Alrighty. This one is from Brandon Proctor. Do I want to sell that PV Wolfgang guitar? Sometimes I think about it because I haven't played it for a while, and then I pick it up and I play it for like an hour, and it's so awesome and fun to play. So I think that one is a keeper, like a lot of the other ones in here. Well, like most of them in here. There's definitely some guitars which I can see myself bumping off at some point, but try to keep the collection intact. Another car. This is why it's so hard to do these videos uninterrupted. Alrighty. This one is from, what was I going to say? Can I even read? Aha, this one. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the wrong question. Dan Perry, thank you for your question, Dan. This is a question about the Mark series, and if you're a Mark series user, let me know in the comments, because it seems to be like a, secret clubs. Like you have the Freemasons and then you have the Boogie Mark series users, and I think the Mark series users are almost even more secretive than the Masons. So how does my gear acquisition syndrome break down? Meaning between, let's say, guitars, amps, and multi-effects modelers, what do you lust after the most? I don't think my gear acquisition syndrome breaks down. I think it has actually gotten worse. Maybe I'm headed for a breakdown with it, but I am not a huge... My gear acquisition syndrome right now is for like complete soundproofing in this room. Hey, it's Friday in Perth. People like to drive their cars around. What was I going to say? Mostly, I mean, I like to watch YouTube videos of like weird pedals and stuff like that. Because I have an Axe-Fx and an FM3, look, I literally want for nothing. I don't need more stuff. This is just pure gas that I'm talking about. But mostly I would say at the moment it breaks down to weird old rack stuff like old Eventides and Lexicons and kind of weird unobtainium stuff like that. So that's where the gas lives at the moment. But I did just buy a brand new guitar, which you'll see on the channel fairly soon, I would say, and you'll know when you see it. So yeah, I can't buy another guitar for a little while. But, it's probably the old rack stuff at the moment. And then I go and use the Axe-Fx and the FM3 Live for everything. So I have all this stuff and I don't ever really take it out of the house. It is just purely for my own enjoyment. Like a lot of people, people rag on bedroom guitarists, but we are all bedroom guitarists. We all start as bedroom guitarists, and we probably all finish as bedroom guitarists as well. So yeah, all this stuff is kind of, in the bedroom, in the studio, What's the difference between someone's bedroom and a studio? Just the title that you give it, I think. So good question there. We all have gas, and it's not a bad problem to have, I guess. So alrighty, there's quite a few more questions, and this one is from Salvo Di Pietro. Take a look at Matteo Mancuso's videos. I have taken a look at a lot of Matteo's videos, and he's terrifying. What an amazing player, and what a unique technique and way of phrasing. And it just goes to show that guitar and music in general is so cool because you can just be yourself. There is absolutely no right or wrong way to do stuff. There is just orthodoxy. And someone's calling my phone right now, and I should probably pick it up in a second, but I'll do that. Look at this. Ryan Rafferty calling. I should probably get that, and probably get pretty close to the end of the questions anyway. So, alrighty. A lot of people want to hear the wet, dry, wet thing. This is a good question here. Am I still using the Elixir 10 to 52 nanowebs? They're impossible to find. Yeah, so they're not making them at the moment, which made me go and buy a bunch of Ernie Ball 10 to 52s, which kind of feel weird under my fingers because I'm not used to coded strings. Sorry, I'm not used to uncoded strings, but yeah, that was when the whole pandemic really hit home for me, when I couldn't buy Elixir 10 to 52 nanowebs. So talk about sheltered. Can I explain the speaker impedance curve in the Axe-Fx? Okay, very, very basic idea. It's not the same as an impulse response. So when you connect an amplifier to a speaker cabinet, they have this kind of push-pull interaction between them where the amp sees a speaker load and it sees an electrical impedance, and then the output transformer of the amp and the speaker load interact, and that is different for every speaker load that you connect to your amp. So it is modeling real-world physical cabinet and speaker behavior, but it does not really affect the overall frequency response like an impulse response does. Think of an impulse response of like a sample of a cabinet, and then the speaker impedance modeling is doing all the dynamic stuff. I hope that was a not terrible explanation. My advice would be just find one that you love, twist the knob until it sounds good, and then happy days. Alrighty, was the outro riffage from last week Black Hearted Woman from Blue Murder? Possibly. Possibly. That's a great song. I really, really like that Blue Murder album. And we got one more question. Where is it? I was wondering if you could make an in-depth video explaining how to accurately tone match in the Axe-Fx 3 using a pre-recorded guitar track. I feel like I've done a video on this before, but if you would all like me to revisit it for Cygnus, I will throw that into one of my videos. Alrighty. Thanks so much for the awesome Q&A. Again, if there's any questions you want me to answer next week, put them in the comments below. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all next week.